Now it's time to really get into the drawing tools in Illustrator by tracing over an image using the pen, blob brush, and other drawing tools in your control panel. The first thing we're going to do is make sure we have an image that we'd like to trace and another canvas to do the tracing. And then the next thing we'll do is we'll want to drag out the pen tool. In your tools, click on the pen tool and hold down. You'll see that there are several different tools under many of these tool buttons. Here, we'd like to drag all the way over to this thin vertical bar. If we release the mouse when we've chosen this thin vertical bar, our pen tools will pop out and we can access all of them easily. We'll be using them quite a bit as we trace over this skull. Once we have our pen tools clicked out, it's important to check and make sure we've organized our layers correctly. Over here on the Layers button, we can check and see that our drawing guide, or the original picture of the skull, we can see it, it's visible, and it's locked based on the little lock sign. We want to make sure we're drawing on the trace layer and that the trace layer is selected. If we're sure about our layers, the next thing is to activate our rulers so we can use some measurements to help us precisely trace this drawing. To turn on your rulers, click Control R, or rather press Control R on your keyboard. Then anywhere inside the ruler, click and drag out a guide. Put it roughly or as best you can down the middle of your drawing. Now you've got a guide that will help us make two symmetrical sides to our tracing, and we're going to start tracing from the outside in. We're going to create an outline and fill in the details later. Now our skull here is basically symmetrical, so we can save some time if we outline half of the drawing and then copy it to the other side using the guide as our symmetrical midpoint. In order to start my outline along the right side, I'm going to zoom in to the top of the skull. Again, to zoom in, you can hit Control+ on your keyboard. I'm going to move over so that the top of my skull is what's visible. Remember, if you scroll too far, you can always scroll back. Be patient. Scrolling can take time to master. Then I want to use my pen tool, so I'm going to either click on the pen tool or press P on my keyboard. Now, to make sure that I only draw a line without any background, I'm going to go over here to look at my pen and fill colors. I do not want a fill color, so I will click on the solid fill color and click the white box with a red slash through it, meaning no color at all. But I do want my outline to be black, so I'll click on the stroke or outline color, and I'll go ahead and choose black as the color for my outline. Now I'm going to draw a black line with no fill. I'll start my pen tool a little bit to the left, about 5 or 10 pixels to the left of my center guide. I'm going to click once, and then click around the skull, anticipating when there's going to be a curve. Later we will curve this line. I'll go down to the next big curve. Here there will be a little curve towards the inside. Here's where we'll curve around the cheekbone. Here's where we'll curve around the inside of the jaw. Another curve here, outwards towards the bottom of the chin, inwards as we get to this chin, and then again finish it up a little bit to the left of your center guide. Now to go back and add an appropriate curve to each of these lines, I'm going to go back up to the pens and choose Convert Anchor Point tool. If you click on the top anchor point and drag straight out to the right, you'll get a nice handle that will allow you, if you tip it up and down and pull it a little further out, to pretty much match the curve of the skull. Click on the next anchor point and drag to repeat this activity, and again try and keep the curve in line. Don't let go until it's close. It doesn't have to be perfect yet. When you get down here to the third one, you can actually hit the key A on your keyboard, which causes this to be the direct selection tool and allows you to move the path. You can always click Shift-C if you want to go back to your regular curve tool and make things curve with the skull. Again, I'm going to hit A and pull on this handle a little bit to see if I can't make it better match the curve of the skull. You can pull out and in and up and down. Be patient, use a steady hand, and you can get your curve just about matching every piece of the skull here. Again, to switch back to the regular pull tool, you go to Shift-C and get that anchor point tool back. So I'm going to keep working on this until I get the curve that I want in each part of the skull here. And take that line and take it from straight line to straight line into a curve from piece to piece. There we go. Little curve here. Little curve here to get right. Perfect. Now when I like the line and it seems to be curving with the skull and I'm happy with it, I'm going to press V on my keyboard to get a bounding box around the shape. Now's a good time to pause the video and use this anchor point tool here in your pen to curve all the lines around your skull. Then unpause the video to move on to what's next. Now that you have your nice curved line for this side of the skull, go ahead and click on it. If you're not getting a bounding box, be sure to press V on your keyboard. Go to the bottom of your control panel and press Swap, Fill, and Stroke Color. It's a little two-way arrow. This is going to create a fill shape over half of your skull. Now we want to create the other half of the skull. So we're going to copy it with Control-C on our keyboard and paste it with Control-V. You'll notice we have a second shape. With the second shape selected, go up to Object, Transform, and Reflect. You want to reflect it around the vertical axis, so press OK. Move this over to the other side and make sure the two are overlapping and lined up correctly. I'll pause the video now for you to swap the stroke and fill of the original stroke and go to Object, Transform, and Reflect and get your skull here covered in black. After yours looks like mine, restart this video to move on to the next step. Now that you have the full outline of your skull all put together, hold down the Shift key on your keyboard and use the Selection tool to select the left side of the skull and the right side of the skull. Then you're going to go up to Window and get your Pathfinder panel open. In Pathfinder, under Shape Modes, there's one called Unite, and this allows you to take two or more shapes that you've selected and unite them into one. Now that you've clicked it, this outline is a single piece. Now we're going to go ahead and switch it back from a filled-in shape to just an outline. So we'll go back over and click on the Swap, Fill, and Stroke button and end up with just a lovely outline. Now up at the top in the control panel, let's bump our stroke up to about 7 points so we've got a smooth outline. Now you've got an outline of your skull that you can move and resize to fit as best you like over your original drawing.